Not everyone who seems spiritual and looks spiritual is spiritual. Namaste everyone. This video is to throw some light on who might seem very spiritual and sorted but is messed up inside, who's broken, who's hurting, and could be needy, could be also very toxic. We need to understand who is what with our inner wisdom to save us from any further hurt and harm, most importantly. I've had so many experiences in my past, especially in the childhood, where I was taught to respect the grey-haired, the elderly, with reverence. But upon close encounters, I realized that there's no wisdom. Age and wisdom has nothing to do with each other. I realized this the hard way. In fact, the smallest, the youngest one could be far more evolved than the eldest one, has been my learning since a very, very, very young age. Blessed I am. I realized that the so-called spiritual beings had no control over their senses, especially their vasanas, upon seeing a woman. Zero control. And I've had some terrible experiences in my past, in my childhood. But forget them. This video is about my 3 recent experiences with spiritual people. Let me begin with my first example, that is of an illustrator who I worked with about 2 years ago and ended my relationship last year. 2 years ago, I hired her to make illustrations for my book on yoga that I've been working on so diligently and with all my heart, soul. And I hired her because she came through references from a community that I'm a part of, Gili Mitti, and she'd done some logos for a couple of my friends, and I hired her without seeing her work. Mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, I gave her my trust, which I easily did in the past, without asking many questions. So I did that and I gave her the advance. I and another friend of mine who helped me ideate and conceptualize all the illustrations coached her to the T on how to make it, what to show, how to show, and she was bad at proportions, body proportions. So her hands would be thin, the body waist would be wide and stuff like that. Head would be too small, the rest of the body would be big and stuff like that. So we had to really tell her the details of the fine aspects of the illustrations and correct her. Rather, we were paying her and coaching her instead of the other way around. Rather, she should have paid us to have her coached and create these beautiful illustrations that she did. However, I realized that she'd taken up more work than she could handle, and she hid that from me. She was supposed to work only on my project, but she took 2 more and then sidelined the deadline that I had given her for my project. That just derailed my project, but I don't like to be a taskmaster, so I gave her the freeway. I gave her the love, the kindness, the care that she needed, and as a sister goddess, I do that. I feel for women, so I know, especially somebody who's just starting out, who's a startup, who needs directions, who needs love, and are just blooming into a flower. So I gave her that space to flourish. And when I was disappointed that she'd taken 2 other work assignments without telling me, hiding it from me, lying to me about it at the cost of my deadlines, I was very, very disappointed. So I decided to take a break for a couple of months, and one of the months, 30 days Vipassana, is what I went away for. And I told her to finish off some other stuff in the meantime, and we could review it after I was back and work on finishing the rest of the stuff. After I came back from my 30 days Vipassana, I saw on her social media one of my illustrations for sale. I immediately called her and I was like, what is that? Why is it there? It's part of my book. You can't be selling my illustration. She said, no, it's different. It's different from what I have created for your book. I said, no, how is it different? It's the same. She's like, no, the unibrow in your illustration is now separated. The brows are separate. And where the waist was sharp angled in your illustrations is now curved in this illustration. These are the minor changes, you know. That's how it is different. And I was like, no, babes, this is the same. Ask anyone. And she did ask one of her senior colleagues, artist, and thankfully that artist had some ethics to tell her the truth. That yes, these illustrations are absolute mirror images of each other. One can hardly tell the difference. So I said, now let's get to creating copyrights and an agreement so that it's written that these belong to me, the illustrations belong to me, and that she cannot use them anywhere else without my permission. She refused to do that and she asked for more money. That hurt me immensely. No matter how evolved I think I am and I want to be and how detached I want to be, I still felt hurt. Those were the illustrations that I and my friend, we had created them from our deepest spaces of soul. You know, they are part of my story of the book. They are my story. That's me. Those illustrations are me. Again, you know, in yoga as we understand, me, again, that part, me is ego. It's part of ego. And I knew that this was happening with me, that I was identifying with the images, the illustrations that we had created. However, I paid for them and she created that for me, and now she was asking for more money because now I was asking for a copyright. And I spoke to many senior artists after that, and all of them said that her conduct was absolutely unprofessional. In fact, these senior artists, without even having to give it in writing, it is understood that the illustrations belong to the one who has commissioned it, who has paid for it, who has given ideas and is a part of their book, their project. The flip side of hiring a Gen Z illustrator is that they know very little. And it took us a few not so nice conversations, a few rounds with the lawyers, and I just gave her the balance money. I needn't have, but I still gave her the rest of the money and closed the matter, because I didn't want to keep any of her money with me, saying that she cheated me, that she was asking for more money for the illustrations. Those illustrations are incomplete, and now I have hired another senior artist to work on them. But that came at a price. So the price I paid her for putting the ideas on paper, I see that price as the one that I paid to learn my lesson in trust, in professionalism, in asking for a contract, signing the copyrights. These were my lessons. And this artist calls herself a spiritual person, meditates, gets her inspiration through meditation, is a yoga teacher herself, which is what brought everything for me together, which is why I liked her in the first place. So that's example one. The second example is of this person whom I met at the Yoga Institute. He was a teacher and he was teaching Bhagavad Gita as an assistant teacher, and the 21 days Art of Living, I think that was what it was called then. He was leading those in the Yoga Institute, one of the most revered, well-known institutes in the world. He left for the Himalayas after he quit the Yoga Institute, especially because their compensation was not working out. So he went to the Himalayas and I knew that he was there. We'd exchanged notes once in between. And I felt like going to the Himalayas 2 years ago. That was in 2022. And when I took his help. He guided me to stay right next door to him. He was staying in a guest house which had rooms, serviced rooms with kitchenettes and the bedroom and a study desk and looking over the mountains. It was beautiful. So I went for a month, and because we were next door, he was expecting me to spend time with him, mornings, evenings, and have my food with him in the afternoons when it was served by the owners. I hadn't gone there to socialize with anyone. I wanted to work on my book script. I wanted to stare at the mountains, spend time in nature, go for my solo walks, enjoy my solitude, my silence, and keep working on my script every single moment. I didn't have any free time. I hadn't gone there on a holiday. So after a few days, this guy expressed his grudge, his disappointment with me, and said, you don't have time to talk, and can we chat for a bit? You know, it's so amazing to chat with you. And I was like, I don't have the time. I'm so sorry. And really, this is how I live, even in Mumbai. I live like a hermit. I don't go out and socialize. I can't chat every day. Once in a week is manageable, but not every day. What do you chat about? What are the topics? You run out of topics. Silence fuels you. And me at least. I love my silence. And especially what's there to talk with him, you know? That's it. Couple of days we did chat for hours, and that's it. There was nothing more to discuss. So he was disappointed, and he complained that I was holed up in my room all the time, and that if we can't chat every day, then at least give him a hug for 5 minutes every day. Can I do that at least? Was his request. And I was like, hug for 5 minutes every day? Why? And thank God I had worked on myself to say no immediately to his request. And he didn't like it. He didn't like a no from me to hug him for 5 minutes every day. I mean, for what? So he criticized me for not being loving as I say I am. And he disowned me in terms of even saying hi as he crossed my window every day. He wouldn't wave or say hello or smile. He stopped doing that. It feels so sad that a person who talks about Bhagavad Gita, he teaches that in the mountains. He teaches Advaita, Vedanta. Oneness is what he preaches in the mountains. He talks on that. He gives lectures on that. He conducts workshops on that. And this is his personal conduct, that he, upon not receiving what he wanted, distanced himself and acted weird. And I left him at that. So in his past, his mom, when he was 5 years old, had left him with his grandparents, and he had a huge grudge against his mother, and therefore all the women who would say no to him would remind him of his mother. And I told him that he needs to work on his relationship with the mother. He needs to forgive her for what she did 50 years ago. He's in his 50s now. So just forgive and communicate with her and connect with her and take the love that you want from her now, today, and give it to her and have a healthy exchange. But of course, who am I, right? Who am I, a young nobody, to tell the Advaita teacher, a Bhagavad Gita teacher, to heal himself, go back in the past and make it all okay, so that it doesn't reflect in every relationship, every friendship with a woman in his future. But that doesn't work, right? Unless you want to be healed, and outside advice doesn't stick. That's exactly what happened. That was my second experience of a spiritual person turning out to be not so evolved. My third experience was with this person whom I met in a workshop. He was conducting the workshop called the Raw Life Celebration Workshop. It was in Auroville. I attended it because I wanted to experience nature and be in the forest, live in the forest. Never lived in a forest on minimal comfort. So here there was not a bed. We were sleeping on the mats, shouting in the wild, making our own raw food through imagining recipes, eating on the floor, and it was amazing. That was the experience I was ready for and wanted to gift it to myself. In 2022, that was my 40th year of my life, my 40th birth year rather, and it was wonderful. I like this person because he would walk bare feet everywhere. He had not more than 2 or 3 changes of clothes on him. He was absolutely frugal, minimal, believed in barter system, didn't believe in the money economy. As much as he didn't believe in all of that, he did want it. That was what I realized eventually. So I stayed back in Auroville to explore this beautiful town, and it was my first time there. He offered to show me around because he'd been staying in a tree house again, you know, another lucrative, amazing thing for me to know that someone could do that. And he'd been living there for 6 months, so he offered to show, and I accepted. It's like, okay, right, show me what you know already, and I don't have to start from scratch. So he showed me around, and as I got to know him even better, I saw him stealing fruits and vegetables from people's gardens, saying that it's Mother Nature and she belongs to everyone and she's in abundance. There's more than everyone can have. So he would do that, and I didn't quite appreciate it because stealing is stealing. Isn't, you know, getting into someone's garden and talking of abundance is not abundance. Then you're not coming from the space of abundance. He would also try to open doors in hotel rooms and see if they were unoccupied and stay there. So that was also against what he was showing himself to be. Somebody who would be comfortable sleeping on the floor in a forest, but then also wanting to open doors and get into these comforts and wanting to spend the nights there was also double standard again. He was also having an extramarital affair with a married woman whose husband had a problem with the woman, and the woman was looking for pleasure outside, and here he was offering her that. She had 2 daughters, and they would hide from the family, her family, and meet in secret and go on trips, and he would talk to her every now and then, and it was just for me. And I was like, oh my god, what people seem to be like and what people really are is poles apart. I had my oh my god moment, and the things that I got to know about him just got muckier and muckier. It was just one after the other. Things like he hid the fact that he is married himself, and he has had some very bitter experiences with his wife, who he was on the way to divorcing but wasn't yet divorced. So he would not tell that to people. He would hide it, his status, which is so important and such a basic thing one shares when one befriends another, right? Even if you don't share it right at the go, but still it's such an important information. And he would look at every woman as a threat. You know, on the outside he would show them that they are divine and they are goddesses, but inside he because of the fact that he was going through so much with his wife, he would look at them as leeches, somebody who are looking to benefit from the man, are looking for money from the man. That was the space he was in. I collaborated with him on a project, and we created this project on spirituality, yoga, life coaching. The organizer whom we were supposed to work with, he introduced me to the organizer as somebody who was working with him, which wasn't cool because it was a collaboration. And I had agreed to work on pay as you wish for fun because I love serving communities. Unfortunately, it turned out that he had asked for payment from the event organizer, the sponsors, but he did not tell it to me until way later, way after the workshop was done. And in the workshop, the work just kept piling up. He asked me to just conduct a pranayama meditation workshop once a day and one coaching session a day. That's it. That was our collaboration. Eventually, we then co-created some coaching sessions, coaching workshops, added more pranayama classes. Instead of making it a 1 week thing, we extended it to a 21-day commitment. It just went on, and this person who showed that he wanted to do it for fun was actually doing it for money, and he didn't tell me about it. I realized it much later, and I felt cheated and used, and it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. The one condition I was collaborating with him was that I would get 1 week free for myself, to just explore the city and be on my own. And as he was trying to please the sponsors, he wanted that week of mine as well to become into a work week. So 21 days plus 1 week, it was going to be a 1 month full of only work. And the 2 hours commitment had turned out to be a full day commitment, and for free. That was the worst part. I know I love to serve, but especially when the sponsor is going to make money, charge for the services that we are offering, it's not fair that I work for free and somebody else is making money, and somebody else is taking credit for showcasing that he has hired me, and he's the one who's bringing all this together. So it was not such a nice experience, and a big lie again, which a spiritual person doesn't. Lying is absolutely not cool, and cheating, also a kind of lying. Cheating me was also not cool. The worst part, and it only becomes worse and worse, when I realized that he's doing some hanky-panky. I refused to share my mornings with him, where I would meet him for breakfast and I would just go straight to my session without seeing his face, because I wanted to be in my peak state, my bestest, most divinely aligned and powerful, to create an impactful space for my students in my space, my coaches, my pranayama students, my meditators. That's how I create a space for myself. And when I told him that he's sulking because I am refusing to indulge with his not so positive space, all the things that he was doing in his personal life that he was telling me one by one, and I was like, oh my God, I do not deal with such people and do not make them a part of my life. So let me just do this professionally, this commitment, and be done with it. However, because that didn't go well with him, he demanded that I at least hug him every day to make him feel better. That was it. I don't know what's wrong with men and what do they have to do with hugs, but this is the second time in a row somebody demanded that I hug that person. And for me, hugs is an exchange of energies, and I'm very mindful of who I hug. So I refused that too. He didn't like it, and he started sulking all the time. The worst thing is that he got money from the organizer, the sponsors. He told me much later and made it seem like I didn't need money, but he needs the money, and therefore I can ask for whatever I feel is right for me, and depending on how much I need, and accordingly he'll give me whatever I feel is right for me. I felt that a little weird, a little, a play on values and virtues, taking advantage of somebody else's goodness. And if somebody else has a very low self-esteem, that person will automatically not ask for what one's worth is. So he was a very playful, he's very smart, he was very, very, very intelligent. Oh my God, beyond imagination. Very smart, street smart, intelligent in turning words and presenting them in such a way that the other person feels guilty for asking one's worth. That was one amazing play of money from a person who showcased that he doesn't need money. You know, again, the double standard here. The last and the worst thing of all the things that happened were that he collaborated with somebody else after me and stole my book's title name to be used as the title of their workshop. That was the worst. In fact, that is what inspired me to create this video, so that in case you think somebody is very evolved or spiritual or minimal or so detached and lives on bare minimum and believes in barter and doesn't value money and so on and so forth, that is not the case. People who look noble or show themselves noble may not be really noble in real life. And I have come across real noble people too, but these examples are the ones that open your mind up. So I want to say that no, there are people who are really spiritual, who would not suck the goodness out of you for their personal benefits, but who are also kind and giving, really giving, without interested in taking something out of you. And there are these kinds who live in double standard, who show something but are really something else, who have nothing to offer, who have nothing good to offer, no good experiences. In fact, this person, the third example, the guy, also started coaching when we had co-created the program. Over there, he started coaching in the spur of the moment without any experience, no certification, no prior experience. And just before going into a coaching session, he asked me on how to coach, some 10 minutes before the coaching session. And I was aghast, because somebody comes and trusts you with their life, with their secrets, with their vulnerabilities. And if you're going to fake as a coach, you're just playing with their emotions and their lives, and they may not go to another coach for the rest of their life, thinking if this is the kind of the quality of a coach, then I don't want to get to a coach. That's what happens in today's day and time. One person ruins the whole industry. But anyway, this person, I mean, the height of lies that I have seen a person live is playing with somebody else's life. He gets information from me on how to coach, how to start a session, and how to answer and all of that. And at the end of my explanation, he turns around to me and says, anyway, I'm going to do whatever I feel like. You know, nobody can tell me anything. It's like, okay, fine. I smiled. But inwardly, I was feeling so sad that he was lying to the organizer that he's a coach, whereas he has no experience in what space to create, how to ask questions, and how to go forward. Height of lying. Spirituality. Know your inner GPS. Know the voice that guides you on where to trust, where to not. In fact, when I was collaborating with this guy, with all the things that I was hearing, I knew that I shouldn't have collaborated with him. I knew that I should not go ahead and fulfill the commitment to the organizer, the sponsorer. But we had already given our word, and for me, my word matters. I had already said yes. And that had made, I assumed that the sponsorer has then further made commitments based on my yes, that I will come, do these sessions, do the program. And as a commitment to the future clients, the clients that he has committed to, I went ahead and fulfilled my word. But that was it. That was it. Sometimes it's nice to listen to your inner voice and then step back and say with dignity that it doesn't resonate with my values, and that's it, and end the matter there. Instead of quadrupling and multiplying it 100 times over, the feeling of, divorcing from your soul for those days you are working with a soulless person, Everybody is spiritual. We all are spiritual beings. It's just we are a different evolution. But in my experience, the word we assign to these evolving souls and trust them because we think that they are spiritual, and we in turn get hurt in return, can be avoided. My lessons from these experiences are that be smart, be wise, ask all the questions first, know the person in and out, and only then collaborate. Only then associate. Only then converse. Spend your precious time with them. Give them your trust. That's it. Otherwise, safeguard yourself and invest in people who are like you or better, who are evolved, who give light, who elevate your space, who throw light on your dark spaces. Those are the kinds you should be spending more time with, instead of giving chances to the broken souls. They need to evolve. They need to work on themselves. Nobody can help themselves but themselves. Be your own inner GPS, as I said. Be your own guru and listen to your inner voice. That's the best indicator of where you should be looking. I hope this video has helped you understand that not everybody that looks spiritual is really spiritual. They can be broken souls inside. They can be hurt and harmed. They could be healing, and that they could be double standards. And your job is to stay safe, stay aligned with your inner being, and nourish yourself and throw your light out in the world with your sovereignty. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope my experience and this wisdom helps you in some way or the other and saves you the heartburn, the soul-crushing experience that you may have to go through because you didn't know better. If you like listening to this video, please leave a comment. If you have already gone through any such experiences that you trusted somebody who seemed spiritual, share with your loved ones so that they too know better. Subscribe to my channel for more such amazing content. Click on the bell to be intimated about all my upcoming amazing videos that I make with all my heart. I love you. Stay blessed, stay divine.